Still streaming?
Yeah.
I'll
Yes.
refresh the stream and see. Cool.
I think
Oh,
we. Yeah, I guess that
yeah, it looks like it.
keeps on giving.
Awesome.
So I don't really remember what was the last thing you said, but that we thought that AI was sentient, and after that, I think we lost the connection.
Okay, yeah. So I was saying basically AI used to mean sentience, like true self-awareness, and the word that we used for computers that could think, but not weren't self-aware was machine learning. And I think what LLMs are basically is very, very good machine learning. It's a new sort of form of machine learning, which is really cool, but it's not the same as true AI, even though we all call it AI. So I use the term true AI now as like, okay, when we're talking about actual sentience, we're talking about things like Skynet, right? That's true AI, but LLM's not really AI. And so the issue is like, I don't think we're 5 years off from true AI. The question is, with AI being trained on AI stuff, like, can we avoid that? Is that going to cause the stagnation that I think it's going to cause, or are we going to somehow avoid it? I really hope we can avoid it, but it may be tricky because it's getting to the point where we're not. At what point do we say, okay, well, we accidentally trained AI on AI stuff because we just couldn't tell the difference?
Okay, so speaking about AI, I have a question in the chat about it. Is it high risk of danger? What do you think about the new Llama AI model? And the following question was, how would this be kept under control?
I haven't actually heard about the Llama AI model, so I'm not massively up to date with AI. It's not like it's more of an area of interest. Just personally, it's not anything I do like with business. And I generally just stumble across new AI things like when messing around with them. So like I have a ChatGPT subscription, I have a Suno subscription. Suno is the one that creates music. The Suno subscription honestly has given me the most enjoyment I've had in years out of like any subscription service, to be honest. Just being able to make random music within like a few seconds is really cool. I know they're currently getting sued by the music industry, so who knows? Who knows how long that's going to be around? But yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, I don't know about the Llama AI model. All I see is the occasional things on Twitter talking about new stuff, but I haven't really delved into it much.
Okay, thank you. And because I saw on LinkedIn that like your title is content creator, so I wanted to ask that next, can you share something in regards to content creation? Where do you find inspiration for new topics?
Yeah. So my content creation is a bit odd. Like I don't really. I need to get back into like the YouTube video stuff. My issue is exactly that, finding new ideas. I feel like there are so many better creators out there. Um, that's why I honestly enjoy streaming, because I don't really have to have an idea. The sort of ideas just develop naturally, because it's basically I go live. I'm like, well, it's Cyber Mentoring Monday, so we're going to do some easy stuff. What do you want to do, chat? And like the viewers will tell me what they want to see, and that's kind of easy. That's kind of nice. Um, and a lot of my YouTube video, I don't really make YouTube videos that often. I really want to more, but it's mostly a time and just effort and creativity thing. Um, I've never been that comfortable creative wise. Like I don't really see myself as a creative person at all, to be honest. So like I want to get better at that. But like I see people like, oh my god, Track It Pacer. My god. Like the amount of funny, informative, just really creative content that Track It comes out with is insane. Like, if you aren't subscribed to Track It on TikTok, and I know TikTok is like controversial, right? She also posts to Instagram and Twitter. But my God, she's like one of the most creative people in the tech space that I know. And I'm like constantly in awe of the stuff that she produces. Like, I'm like, no way, I'm like, if her creativity was like level 10, I'm definitely like level 1. Like, so there's a bunch of like, and even like creators who pump out a lot of content, like John Hammond, Nahamsek, you know, their stuff is it's informative and educational. It's not like the same level of creativity, right? A lot of it is, and I don't mean that as like a diss in any way. Like, I absolutely respect what they're doing, but it's mostly informative, educational content, and it's like, here's how to do this. This is a cool thing you should know about. All right, here's this, like, you know, it's tutorial sort of based, but it's a fun way of presenting it, and that's really good because we do need that kind of creative content. But like the TikTok like short form content is, I think, in my view, a lot more creative because of the limitations that you have to basically force upon yourself. And so what Track It does, and to another extent what people like She Networks has done in the past. She doesn't create too much short stuff now. But She Networks, Track It, Ending with Ali, they do some short form content. Um, it's hard to describe, but it's very, very sort of, it's more artsy than the more sort of tutorial style, even though it is actually teaching stuff a lot of the time. And so I don't know how they do it. It's crazy. It's really impressive. I'm constantly impressed with what they're pumping out and the frequency that they do it. Like, Track It posts almost every day, and they're always absolute gems. So yeah, definitely go subscribe to her because she's amazing.
Yeah, I really like her, and I really like the way that she's like, I don't know, explaining things in like a very creative way, but also like informative. So, like, she, for example, I saw a video from her on LinkedIn today that she was explaining how the switch works, and like, this is like super tiny switch, and she's like, oh, this is a cute switch, and like, it's like
The
adorable,
small
like,
boy thing.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
adorable
that was,
how she's like trying to show her passion for networking, and yeah.
yes. That's the row. It's the passion. The passion comes through in all of her videos. Um, because like, she can take a subject that I think a lot of people might find boring, and that I personally find boring, right? Like, her using an oscilloscope and monitoring like the output of like a switch or a hub, incredibly boring to me. But I still watch it because she somehow makes it so much less boring. And I'm like, I have nothing to do. I don't have any interest in sort of network engineering. I don't have any interest in the layer one stuff that she taught. I've even told her, like, before, we work at completely opposite ends of the layer 8 diagram. Like, I'm all the way at layer 7 or whatever it is, and
Mm.
she's all the way at layer 1. Like, we're complete opposites. But like, I'll always watch her stuff because, even though it goes over my head most of the time, she presents it in such a fun way. It's incredibly entertaining and really informative. So yeah, her stuff is always absolute gold.
Yeah, and I really remember like the first video that I saw from her was about like a man being, I don't know, rude to girls in text something, and there was like a funny girl, funny song in the background that was a bit like, I don't know, not safe for work with the words that were used in the, but I think she used it like on LinkedIn as well, and I think that's also like very brave, and like she doesn't really give a, I don't know, she doesn't really give a damn what
Yeah,
if people
no,
are judging
absolutely.
her like in a negative way. She's just being herself, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, And that's incredibly important, and that's what a lot of female creators do in the space. Like people like She Networks, Ending with Ali, Gigglypuff, they like massive amount of respect to them because they get so much crap thrown at them from men in tech for some I don't know why. It's the thing I've talked about so many times before, and I've chosen to be more vocal about it, especially recently. But it's just insane the amount of stuff that they have to put up with, and it's really it's I mean they shouldn't have to put up with it, but they do, and the fact they talk about it and highlight it is really important, because it honestly I think there's too many men who just either aren't aware that it's happening or don't care enough. And there really is there's no reason why you shouldn't care. All right. This is something if if it was happening to your friends, you would care about it.
Yeah.
And so I think, the industry needs to really take a long look at itself and, figure out how we actually address this problem because it's going to be a problem for a long time and we need to figure it out now. But the fact that there are women in tech that are talking about it and still being badasses is amazing because it gives them it's such a good thing for younger women, younger girls to actually look up to, right? They're basically role models. They are going to be leading the way and showing girls that okay, yes, tech can get hard, but it's worth it. I'm enjoying myself. I'm still amazing. I'm like, don't let people get you down, right? Which I think is a really important message.
Yeah, and also be nice. And I wanted to say something about like my own experience
Mm,
with what you said just now. So I shared my story that was published in a book called Stronger Together about women and cybersecurity. And there was like 100 people sharing their like females sharing their stories. And so I'm there like in my Wonder Woman costume, like with the red cape, and I received a message recently that my 8-year-old daughter really loves your story and like really likes your persona, the Wonder Woman thing. So I think like that's really sweet that there are like younger women, like girls, even like looking up to people that are in the industry right now. And yeah, it's like we are inspiring other people, so I think that's really really cool. So and
yeah,
I wanted to
absolutely.
follow up and say like just like be yourself and like yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Be yourself. Surround yourself with people who are on your side. Surround yourself with people who will speak out in your defense as well. Like, and this is especially to any men who are watching. This is especially important that you call out this shit. Sorry, I probably shouldn't have sworn, but you call out this stuff. I think Twitch is fine with it. But yeah, you got to call it out when you see it. All right, because I guarantee it'll firstly if it's an unfortunate reality, but if a man calls out another man, it's more powerful because that man that's being called out is suddenly, he doesn't respect women, but he
Yeah,
does respect men. And if he has a bunch of men telling him to shut the f up, right? Then that might actually get through to him at some level. It probably won't immediately, right? But it might. It might at least make him think, okay, maybe I shouldn't have said that, right? It does that firstly, and that's incredibly important, all right? Because if it's just a bunch of women speaking up, it's honestly it might just create a feedback loop where he's like, oh well, I'm right because these women are all just getting on me about something I've said. It's unfortunate. It shouldn't happen, but it does. So that's the number one reason. But also, it's important, especially in male-dominated industries, and the tech industry is unfortunately still male-dominated, that women see men standing up for them. Okay, all right. Believe me, like it's not cringe, right? No woman is gonna see a man standing up for her and think I don't need a man talking up for me. That's not what you're doing. You're being a friend. You're being an ally, right? If they do react that way, that's not good on them. Okay, most women, and this is in my experience, most women, if you stand up for them, right, because you're recognizing them as a fellow, as an equal in the same industry, they love that. Okay, they will absolutely respect that. All right, that's what friends do. That's what allies do. It's not cringe. Please do it more often. So yeah, that's why I beg all men, if you see something happening on Twitter, if you see something happening at work, you see something happening anywhere where you see a man belittling a woman for being in tech, please say something.
So I wanted to. I actually had a situation like that when I was like couldn't like defend myself, and then my manager stood in my defense, and I felt
Mhm.
like I will share. I change the screen for a second.
Mhm.
I just felt like this, like, oh, I really love him.
Yeah,
I'm an ally for him right now. So, yeah. So, thank you for saying that as well. It was like amazing answer. Uh, my next question is, if there is one myth that you could debunk in cybersecurity, what would it be?
Ooh. That's a difficult one. Um, hmm.
Or we can get back to this one later if you want.
Let me have I'm sure I can think of I'm sure I can think of several. I think yeah, we may have to come back to it. It's difficult. Like, I don't know, there are so many, but like it's hard to explain why they're myths or why they need to why they're debunked. I don't know. People in chat come up with some myths for me to debunk. That might be a good idea.
Okay, then let's follow. Let's keep on moving. If that is not a secret, could you share something on the time you work at DCM Security? They have a good reputation among hackers, but is that also a good place to work at? That's like my question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a good place to work. Like I was only there a short while. My reasons for leaving are complex, but realistically, nothing against the company. Um, like Heat's great. You'll still me talking with my old one of my old managers on Twitter, Joe Helly. So like I don't think there's any bad blood there. It just wasn't the right place for me. Um, at that specific time, I was going through, some mental stuff. So, ultimately didn't want to be a drain on them. That was one of the reasons. But yeah, so great place to work, awesomely talented people, both on the pen testing side of things and the content creation side of things. But yeah, just not really the right place for me at the right time. And yeah, I work at NetSpy now, which is no content creation, but it's basically kind of what I wanted to be doing, like in terms of um, testing and developing processes. So I'm a lot happier back in sort of the 100% testing role.
I'm happy to hear that. And then, what qualities do you believe a highly successful cybersecurity professional share?
Passion for sure. This isn't your standard 9 to 5. So I think a lot of people think maybe, I mean, you can definitely work in the cybersecurity industry and not be passionate about cybersecurity. It's not going to do your careers any good. But I think, yeah, if you're at least passionate about it, and by passion I mean like you actually get excited about doing your job and you go away and research things in your own time, not because it's something that you need to be doing particularly for your own sort of like day-to-day work, just because it's a subject that interests you and you want to learn more about it. And maybe that will have a payoff later in the future. Maybe it has an immediate payoff. um but maybe it doesn't have a payoff at all. Maybe it's just some extra knowledge that but I think, yeah, having that sort of the passion behind that is really important. uh yeah, so that's honestly the most important thing, being passionate and keeping up that passion as you go about your day to day.
Yeah, I do agree with that because if you are passionate about something, then you don't really feel as like a cliche a bit, but you don't really feel like you are working because it's like all fun for you.
Yeah.
But I think maybe I would add from myself that maybe liking learning, so ability to learn fast or like just being like have a curious mind would help
Mm.
because like it's like ever changing environment, so you have to learn a lot, I guess.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. And what is the best book or movie that can be used to illustrate cybersecurity challenges?
Oh God. That's a good question. Um, Interesting.
I don't know,
Actually,
war games.
well, I think that's the thing. It's like a cybersecurity movie, but I don't think it really shows cybersecurity challenges.
No.
Um, I think this might be a weird kind of answer, but there's a really good movie I watched. I think it was last year. Escape from Pretoria. It's got Daniel Radcliffe in it. It's about a bunch of um, they were white members of the ANC, which is in South Africa, right? It was the quote unquote terrorist organization that were anti-apartheid. Um, and there were a bunch of so obviously the organization was mostly black, but they had a bunch of white members, and the white members were arrested and put in jail. And Escape from Pretoria is a true story about a jailbreak where three of them escaped. But the movie is, I mean, the story is amazing. Like they basically crafted keys out of wood for like I think it was like 10 different doors, and I think like it like it shows attention to detail. It shows a kind of passion. I mean, wanting to escape, I guess, is not really a passion, but it's the same kind of attitude, right? That sort of drive that you have, where you can be focused on a singular objective. That's really important. Um, Also, lockpicking is definitely a cybersecurity thing for some reason, but yeah. So I just think it's a really good. It's a good movie, but I think also it does show. Yeah, it's all about hard work. It's about trial and error. With some of the actual methods they use to escape. It's about um, being like just putting in a lot of hard work to achieve the goal. Even if
Pers-
the goal in this case was technically illegal, but they like I think everyone's okay with a bunch of people in jail for non-violent crimes escaping.
Also persistence, right?
Yes, persistence as well. Absolutely. It's a good movie too. It's got Daniel
Yeah,
Radcliffe.
I really like that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
And if you maybe first question should be if you have one, but what is your favorite hacker movie?
Favorite hacker movie? That is definitely War Games. It might be biased because I think it's probably the first hacker movie I ever watched. Um, but yeah, I don't know. There's just something fun about that movie that other hacker movies I think don't have. Um, it's it's kind of more realistic. Um, but yeah, I think the one he wanted was Escape from Pretoria in chat, but
Okay.
let me put it in. There we go. That's a good one. But yeah, War
Yeah.
Games is definitely my favorite. Um, just I don't know. I think it's yeah, it's more realistic. I think, and yeah, but also like I guess less traditional because like a lot of the hacking isn't really taking place like a traditional like hacker, right? Like a modern like the Hackers movie, like Trinity doing running Mmap in the Matrix, right? It's a little different. So it's more like traditional hacking.
Yeah. Uh, okay. So a bit changing the subject here. What are your favorite books for motivation, personal development, or enjoyment?
Goodness, I don't really read motivational books. I've never been a big reader of like fiction. Um, So that's definitely a fault of mine. I mostly when I read, I sort of just read online content. I read technical stuff. Um, I can tell you like my favorite book series is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So that might tell you something about my personality. Like I'm a big fan of comedy
Me too.
books. Yes, exactly. So, uh, yeah, I think that book is just universally quotable. There are so many good quotes from that book. Um, so that's honestly my favorite book series of all time. It's gonna be hard to be beaten by anything else because it was just I don't know, it was so original, um, funny, entertaining. I like sci-fi as well, so it had that. So it's like everything rolled up into one. And yeah, I've listened to the radio series, I've read all the books, I've watched the movie, watched the TV show. Basically anything Hitchhikers I've done. I played the video game. So yeah.
It was a kind of like a uh, curveball kind of question because I sometimes read motivational books, but I wouldn't like recommend like one of them. So it's a hard question for me as well. So maybe like one, but not really motivational would be the Daily Stoic, but it's like not really motivational. It's about being like calm and like a stoic mindset kind of.
Right.
So yeah, okay, so let's move along. But good question and a really good book. Uh, what is some practical cybersecurity advice you give to people, or maybe like three of them that comes to mind? Because you give a lot of advice.
Like to people in general or like
Yeah,
to
like maybe yeah, like in general, because to the newcomers, you already said that there are like other people that could do that, but how could I succeed in that area? Maybe.
Oh, okay, like in cybersecurity, like
Yeah.
if you're entering the career. Um I feel like, I already said passion, right? That's
Oh, yeah.
definitely like number one. But um, I think you need to early on in your career, like it's hard to even say cybersecurity is a career these days, right? Because there's all these mini careers within it, right? Like
Mhm.
a person doing instant response is not the same career as a person like who does pen testing. Um, so I think it depends on what you're doing, but I think even within instant response and pen testing, there are like subsets of that career. So at the start of your career, I would say just try and do as much stuff as possible and see what you like doing, see what you don't like, and then base your career off what you enjoy. Right. So for me, when I entered pen testing, I would do everything. I would do network infrastructure testing. I would do web apps, APIs. I would do thick clients, build reviews, config reviews, firewall stuff. I was like thrown in at the deep end, and I did that for a couple of years. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I really just enjoy doing web apps. And if I can make my career all about web apps, that would be great. And maybe that was a risk, I don't know, but that's where I focused my career, and it seems to have worked out so far. Mostly I think also because web apps are like 70% of pen tests at almost every company I've applied to. It's like 70%. So yeah, I think that helped. But I basically just do web apps now. I've come across a few companies where I've interviewed at, and I've been like, I just do web apps, and they're like, we need somebody who can do more than web apps. And I'm like, okay, I'm not the guy for you then. And I've had to pass on that, and maybe that was potentially limiting. I don't necessarily think so. I think there's plenty of companies that are fine just hiring a web app person, because ultimately, like, that's the thing. Like, there are almost three different um, areas of pen testing, like within pen testing, like the three major areas. It used to be only two. It used to be web apps and infrastructure, and that was pretty much it. Like you had things like config review, right? Thick client stuff, which was sort of like, you know, little mini sort of segments, but the main two were infrastructure and web apps. And now I think we can probably finally say there are three, and the third one is cloud. Like infrastructure kind of like got separated into what we call a traditional infrastructure, which is, you know, the Active Directory sort of network thing, and then you have the cloud-based stuff. Because cloud-based stuff is a whole different ballgame. There's just a lot of people who are cloud focused, and you know, there's so much more stuff you can do with cloud-based infrastructure. So yeah, I think there's probably now three big sort of subgroups, I guess, within pen testing. And arguably, you can probably do one or two really well. I think if you can probably just focus on one and get like become an SME in one. I don't think you can become an SME in all three. Yeah, I think it would be extremely difficult. I think you're probably limiting yourself because you're just not getting enough exposure to everything. But yeah, I think early on do everything, and then just slowly, you know, as time goes on, focus your skill set on something and expand that.
Yeah, that's a really good advice. Thank you. And to the cloud thing, I wanted to add that yeah, it's a bit tricky as well because the client doesn't really own the infrastructure, so it's like the tests are like limited there.
Yeah.
There is a question in the chat for someone who has been working in service desk and they have the opportunity to join an OT SCADA cyber team. What are some modern air-gapped OT cyber resources that can be used to get familiar? They can use to get familiar. Oh, sorry, I can read.
Yeah, I'm honestly not sure about that one. That is like so outside of my wheelhouse. Unfortunately. I just don't touch network stuff anymore. That's the thing. Like
Okay.
I'm aware of SCADA stuff. But yeah, I'm so far removed from that these days. Like I don't even want to attempt to answer that question on fear of like saying something that's completely wrong and leading somebody down the wrong path. So yeah, unfortunately, the wrong kind of person. Anything to do with web application or just general AppSec is what I can really answer on. But like, I haven't really done infrastructure testing in like over 3 years now. And even then, it was like a one-off test that I was just put on. So yeah, realistically, haven't done infrastructure testing in 9 years. So yeah, very out of date, unfortunately.
Thank you for trying at least to answer the question. And
All good.
so I'm running out of questions. So if you have any, then please leave them in the chat. But I think the stream is coming to an end and slowly. But do feel free to ask the questions while we are still here. And like another, do you want to get back to the one from before?
Oh yeah. Oh god. Um, cybersecurity myths. I think maybe the biggest one is the hiring thing, right? Like everyone's like there's 4 million or whatever it is now jobs available in cybersecurity. Um, like I don't know. I'm not sure anyone really knows the number. I feel like the people who say that are probably don't even know where they're getting that number from either. I don't think it's as bad as people think. I think the issue was a lot of people associate layoffs with a lack of hiring. And obviously we did go through a bunch of layoffs last year. However, if you look at the companies that are doing layoffs, they were all huge. And if you look at the reasons, like were all these companies doing badly financially? No, not really. They're all big companies. They're all doing fine. Like, why did they lay off people? Because they overhired. Like, so it's not that they necessarily didn't need those people, right? They could have probably kept them on. Would it have cost them some money in the short term? Yeah, definitely. But ultimately, they're a big company, so they're effectively soulless, and making money is the most important thing for them. So they basically let everybody go. Some of those companies have started hiring again. Some of those companies have started hiring almost immediately, which I think goes to show how the layoffs were kind of just you know, kind of just a thoughtless, careless exercise, and just getting rid of a large portion of the work population, probably trying to hire people at cheaper salaries. Um, but I don't buy into the whole thing like there are no jobs in cyber. There are definitely jobs in cybersecurity. Um, it's probably not as big as everyone wants to make out. The other issue is those jobs aren't for juniors, right? There's most of those jobs are going to require 3, 4, 5 years experience minimum. All right. So yes, there are jobs in cybersecurity. There aren't jobs for people who aren't in cybersecurity, right? Or there aren't as many. But absolutely, if you are already in cybersecurity and looking to switch to another company, there are definitely jobs out there. And I think a lot of people forget that when we say jobs in cybersecurity, we're not just talking about people who are looking to enter the industry. We're talking about people who are looking to move within the industry, and that's something I recommend a lot. Actually, is I my general rule is I'll stay at a company for three years, and then move on. A lot of people will say 2, and for me, that's just maximizing the amount of salary. Generally speaking, as a rule, if you want to, if what you care about is salary, and that to be honest is a big reason why we do this, right? If you care about salary, then to maximize salary over time, probably switching job every 2 to 3 years is a good idea, because ultimately, yeah, raises like your yearly raises, your yearly sort of promotions or whatever, don't bring in enough over time if you stay at the same company than switching to a new company might do. And I think in cybersecurity, especially if you're a pen tester, and definitely if you're a consultant pen tester, there are a lot of consultancies out there who will pay more for people with a lot of talent. So yeah, that's my general advice. Company loyalty, I think, is a thing of the past these days. It's it's like you see people at these like quarterly company meetings where they say, and Jim's been with us for 10 years, and it's like, I never want my name up there, right? If I don't think I'll ever be at a company where it'll be like, hey, and Tiberius has been with us for 6 years as of this date. No, that's if my name ever goes up there and it's like 3 years, I'll be like, okay, that's 3 years. Probably time to look for a
Yeah,
new job.
that that's my cue.
Pretty much.
Uh,
So yeah, it also
uh,
also helps to keep things fresh. Like it's not even about the company. Even if the company is really nice and you enjoy working for the company, right? Like I really enjoy working for NetSpy. And in 3 years, I I might still enjoy working for NetSpy. That's irrelevant to my personal like formula. I don't try and treat I try and treat a company exactly how it should be treated, which is as a company, not as a family. And so, after 3 years, I'll probably move on even if I'm really enjoying it. Because ultimately keeping things fresh is really important as well in this industry. And again, like unless they're giving me a lot more money by that point, there really is no reason to stay, because NetSpy are a great company, but there are loads of great companies out there.
yeah, so it's like okay, there's like a comment about me because I'm a super loyal person, but I do realize that by just staying somewhere like too long, then I'm like limiting myself and like my own growth and like also the salary range that I could have like somewhere else. Because like and what you said, like with changing the job and not waiting for the promotion, you can actually maybe promotion will be like a 7% raise, but by just switching the company, you could get like 50% more somewhere
Mm.
else. So
Yeah,
it's like I think something to consider as well.
yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I have two more questions.
Yeah, cool.
The first one is, what is a life hack that you would like to share? It's like, I don't know, how you peel your potatoes, like something not related to cyber.
A life hack related to cyber. Uh, um, God, I'm not sure now. Um, uh, yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Off the top of my head, if
Yeah,
I know any life hacks,
sorry, it's like another curveball. You were probably not expecting that. So,
it's all good. What's your next question? Maybe I'll think of one while you're asking the next one.
what do you think was your biggest win in your life?
Oh, well,
Is it
that is a
worse?
good question. No, that's good. Biggest win. Um, yeah, I think probably I would probably say creating my courses. Um, because originally I did that uh because I was in a Discord server and people were saying I like it was for OCP students and a lot of them were like the OCP doesn't really teach privilege escalation, but privilege escalation was part of the exam. And are there any courses on privilege escalation? And there weren't any. And so I was like, well, I could probably write some. And a lot of people were like, yeah, can you write that? That'd be great. I'd buy those. And at the time, I was like, wasn't even thinking, oh, this will be a nice way to make money. It was mostly just, well, I know some privilege escalation tricks, so I'll put them into courses and I'll just, sell them. And so I did, and they were really successful, like over 15,000 students so far. So that was good because obviously that brought in some, more money that I could use to invest in myself, invest in content creation. And it also sort of I'd always thought about like becoming a teacher at some point. And I think that made me realize, I was looking at it like, oh, I'll probably like retire early and like go into teaching. And when I've made enough money that it doesn't matter that teachers aren't paid that much, right? I can still make money from like, investments and stuff. But that sort of awakened the fact that, well, you don't need to wait. Like you can start teaching now, and you can do teaching while you're working as a pen tester because you can create courses, you can do your streams, you can create video content, and that's teaching. So I think that's probably, yeah, my biggest win, mostly because it made me realize that teaching isn't a job. Teaching is something that you just do, and you can definitely do it as a career, or you can just do it. And so I was like, you know what, there's no reason why I shouldn't just be doing this right now. So that's sort of what set me off. And I think that also sort of helped me um develop sort of my quote unquote brand as Tiberius. It helped me get um, a lot more people to know me, which has also opened up many other opportunities. So that's like I probably wouldn't have gotten my most recent job, or to be honest, my two most recent jobs, if I hadn't been somewhat knowledgeable. Because like I knew about NetSpy, I think, but I probably wouldn't have thought to look for a job at NetSpy. Um, and to find my job, I just like literally tweeted out, "I'm looking for a job. Like, who's hiring?" And I got a bunch of people just DMing me saying, "Hey, I work here. Hey, I work here." And couple of people were, "I work at NetSpy. We're hiring." And I'm like, "Cool." So yeah, that it was mostly just because I mean, and I fully am aware of how privileged that makes me. That I can just go on Twitter and tweet and I instantly get like 20 people saying, "Hey, come work for us." Um, absolutely acknowledge and own my own privilege there, but I'm not going to say it's not good that that happens. um, so yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how much of a win the courses ended up being in terms of my just long-term career and brand, and just the way I go about day-to-day stuff. Also lets me go to conferences, right? Because the money, pretty much the money, I still make money from the courses, not as much as I used to, but the money basically just lets me fund my um jet setting lifestyle, going around to courses not really jet setting. I went to DC. This year. I went to DC for ShmooCon. I went to Florida for HackSpaceCon. And I'm going DEFCON, and then yeah, I was going to go to World Based Hacking Fest. I don't think I'm going to go anymore, but yeah, I'll probably be going to B-Side Chicago in December as well. So it's just nice to be able to go to conferences and meet other people as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the answer. I had a follow-up question, but I don't remember it anymore. Sorry.
That's all right.
But what I wanted to say is that it's really cool that you just did something out of your, I don't know, out of your passion, out of your goodness of your heart, per se. And it turns out that that was the thing that you was super rewarding, and that's like really giving back to you as well, like up to this day.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. And there, yeah, another like okay, so there is a question in the chat, but I will ask it in a bit different way. So my favorite food is ramen, so it's like a Japanese noodle soup. But
Hmm.
do you have like a special food that always like gives you like the warm feeling on your heart, or you really like?
Yeah. I mean, if we're gonna go like absolute favorite dish ever, there I'll get highly specific. There is a small Chinese restaurant in London that every time I'm in London I will go to. You know it's a good Chinese restaurant because when you go in, there are Chinese people actually eating there. Like it's not just a Chinese restaurant that people like regular like British like people who are not Chinese, I guess, especially not Asian, will go to, right? Which I feel like is a lot of Chinese places will cater to non-Chinese people, and this is one where you'll go in and you'll see, oh yeah, actual Chinese people eating there. That's a good sign. Um, it's the Szechuan style restaurant, which is a region of China known for its spicy dishes. There is an amazing I believe it's called beef in a spicy lip tingling sauce or something. I'm not sure if the translation was lost on the way there, but yeah, it's one of my favorite dishes. It's extremely hot. Like you'll breathe fire afterwards. It's so delicious though, and I will order that every time. Every time I order it, the waiter like looks I like that's very hot. Are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I've been here before. Don't worry. So that's you're ordering something good when the waiter's like looking at you, you're just like this white British guy. Like, are you absolutely sure you want that? It's like the most spicy thing on the menu. And I'm like, yes, please. But that's my favorite dish. To say it warms my heart, I think it warms it quite literally,
Yeah.
um, as well as figuratively. But yeah, it's honestly the most delicious thing I think you can get there. And so yeah, I'm just a massive fan of Asian food in general. Like my top three cuisines are like in no particular order: Chinese, Japanese, and Indian. So like yeah, I'm big fan of spicy food, big fan of just that region in terms of cuisine in general. So yeah, I really like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's really cool that we are finishing up with food because food is my favorite thing in the world, and we all need food, so it's like it's a good topic. So I don't have any more questions. If there's anything that you wanted to say from yourself, like to wrap up, then please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, just I guess if you want to follow me, I have a link tree. Maybe that's probably worth getting in chat. Let me can I actually find it? There we go. I'll just post this in chat. So
Sure, thank you.
yeah, no problem. You can yeah find me on various social networks there, whichever you prefer. I mostly stick to Twitter. That's where I spend. Like I think Twitter's just a more fun social network. Um, and it's where I feel most myself. I'll post like actual serious content mixed with complete trolling content. Um, I'm on LinkedIn as well. I only post serious stuff on LinkedIn usually. And obviously, yeah, like I got a Facebook, a Twitch, a YouTube, so but everything should be on there. And if you want to follow me, hit me up there. I've also got a Discord server if you want to actually chat. In there, I will frequent that and generally respond if people tag me in there. So yeah, I appreciate being invited. This was a good experience, and I hope everyone enjoyed the interview.
And from my side, it's like I'm really grateful that you agreed to come, and I actually didn't expect you to say yes. To be honest, I really like you, and I follow you for some time, so I felt a bit intimidated, like even asking that question. But you are so super nice, and yeah, I'm really enjoying also this interview, and yeah, this is great.
Yeah, no, I'm honestly happy to go on anyone's like Twitch and like I honestly wish more people were because I like yeah I know I'm like famous on infosec Twitter, right? Like, but I'm honestly just a normal person. Like I can't just accidentally got a bunch of followers, but yeah, I mean I'm happy to do interviews with people like and especially like helping out smaller creators as well because honestly I want more people to do content creation for cybersecurity, especially like Twitch streaming. Like I feel like we need more people streaming on Twitch. It's really useful because we do get a lot of viewers on Twitch, and there's a lot of people wanting to see more cyber content. So I think that's always good. I'll always try and make time to join like streams and just chat about stuff. So yeah, this was great. I appreciate you asking. This is awesome.
And also, like from my side, I wanted to say uh, to highlight what you just mentioned that yes, go on Twitch and my Twitch started because I had like a lot of creative energy in me and I'm also looking for a job. Maybe I should say it out loud. So there are like messages coming up next. I don't know. But I wasn't like really. I was super shy when I was like younger, and then I was afraid of public speaking. But then with like coming up online with, to be interviewed with podcasts, and now doing that is like a super huge step for me. And like the first stream was stressful for me, and now I'm not scared anymore, and like I feel like I'm more relaxed, and this is like a good practice as well to come on Twitch and like to uh, practice public speaking as well, and maybe
Yes.
your nerves for future job interviews as well. It's like super helpful, and you can share your knowledge, share your personality with other people, and I will for sure will. There are some people that will like you and come to watch you and listen to you talk. So yeah, so go ahead and be brave and uh, do it. And I will change the screen now, so it's a thank you as well. Thank you again. Thank you for coming and
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
And thank you. So yeah. Okay, so last words, I just without looking at me, so I just wanted to thank you for people that supported me on Patreon. That's King Crowley and Ghostface Killer. So just wanted to mention those people because I think it's super awesome that someone wanted to do it. And also you can follow and subscribe on I don't have a link tree link yet, but I think that's it's coming up. So now it's like 4 links, but maybe it should be one. But you can like follow me on Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn, and support me on Patreon if so I don't know if you want to be my sugar daddy, quote unquote. But Just thank you and thank you for coming up to listen to the interview. And I guess see you next week. Next stream will be on Friday. So just don't get confused. It will be Friday, not Saturday. And then I will not be there for like a week because I'm going to Copenhagen for training. But hopefully you will share how the training as a cover access training actually. So it's super exciting. I will learn some log picking there. So we'll share my experiences when I come back. But other than that, Sugar Daddy, other than that, thank you for coming and listening to the whole thing. And see you next week. Bye.